What is up, guys? It is Friday, January 31st, and this is the regular season date that Nittany Lion Wrestling fans have had circled on their schedule all season. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, perhaps, your Penn State Nittany Lions will be traveling to Carver Hawkeye to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. And don't get me wrong, I think Rec Hall for wrestling is one of the most underrated atmospheres in all of college sports. But Carver Hawkeye is like the Beaver Stadium of college wrestling. It is just, it's next level. Like, if you guys think Kinnick Under the Lights is tough, Carver Hawkeye for a wrestling match is really something else. And for the first time in quite a number of years, Penn State is heading into a dual meet as a pretty serious underdog. And, you know, at the beginning of the season, I would say Penn State was still a slight underdog coming into this match. Iowa has a historically good team this season. But we're at a point now where of the 10 weight classes, 5 of them are now being filled by different guys from expected at the starting of the season. And so it's really a testament to the program that, you know, Coach Kale has put together, that basically half your lineup is gone and you're still competing with one of the, probably going to go down as one of the best teams of the decade. Starting the match off at 125, we got number 1 ranked Spencer Lee against unranked Brendan Meredith. Brendan Meredith is a good up-and-coming prospect. I think he is eventually going to be the answer for Penn State at 125. But Spencer Lee is a generational talent. He's most likely going to go down as a 4-time NCAA champ. And this is one of these matches that you hate to say it, but it's not a question of who wins, but by how much Spencer Lee is going to win. The argument that most people are having is whether this is going to be a pin or a tech fall. We're going to have to see, you know, how hard Brendan Meredith can fight to stay off his back. And, you know, this would be a gigantic win for Penn State if they can come out of this match with Brendan Meredith only giving up a major decision. Then we move on to 133, where we have number 2 ranked Austin DeSanto against our guy, number 4, Roman Bravo Young, the notorious RBY. I believe DeSanto is 3-0 against RBY now, but you've seen Roman get better with every single match, culminating in a very tight match they had at NCAAs last season. And, you know, the question is this the time where Roman finally takes out DeSanto? It's going to be tough. I think DeSanto's got a tough style. He's got an endless gas tank. And in Carver Hawkeye, that's just such a big advantage. On the other hand, Roman has figured out how to wrestle him. And I think that's going to be huge. It's going to come down to whether Roman can stay active enough to not get hit for stalling, with all those Iowa fans screaming at the refs, calling for stalling 10 seconds in the match. And, you know, if he can manage to stay active while still, you know, fending off those moves and that gas tank from DeSanto, I think he's got a shot in this one. And then we move on to 141. We've got number 3, Max Murin, coming up against number 2, Nick Lee. There are some people out there calling the upset for Murin, but I gotta be honest, I think, to me, this is one of those matches where I say it's not a matter of who wins, it's a matter of if Penn State can get bonus points here. I think Nick Lee looks just next level this season. He's always been a good wrestler. He's been tenacious on his feet. He's got a great armbar ride, but he looks just like he took another step this offseason. And, you know, if Roman doesn't manage to come out with a win at 33, this is where Penn State definitely can get the ball rolling, and can really get the ball rolling if they come out with some bonus points, either a major or maybe even tech or pinfall. And we go to 149, where Hawkeye's got number 3, Pat Lugo, going up against unranked Jared Vercleren. Vercleren's the kind of guy where anything can happen, and I don't think this is a realistic upset bid in terms of Vercleren winning this match. But it's, like I said, kind of anything can happen with Verclaren in both a good or a bad way. He's coming off a bad loss at Nebraska where he got caught on a roll through and stuck on his back and pinned. And so we're going to see how he responds to that, you know? My opinion is Cael Sanderson doesn't bring in people to this wrestling room who are mentally weak. I think Verclaren responds very well, and I think he manages to keep this one to a decision. And we got 157, number 4, Caleb Young against Bo Pfeiffer. Bo Pfeiffer, unfortunately, is a backup on this team. We've seen an or designation here where Brady Berge might wrestle, but I really doubt they're going to bring him back from an injury for a dual meet in Carver Hawkeye. That's, usually you want to ease your guys back in, especially a guy like Berge who we're going to be counting on to place high at the end of the season. You don't want to risk anything for a dual meet mid-season against an Iowa team who, no shot, they're going to be losing to anyone else. If Bo Pfeiffer can keep this one to a decision, that's, again, a major win for Penn State. And then we've got probably the marquee matchup of this dual meet. 165, number 2, Alex Marinelli against number 1, Vincenzo Joseph. Now, you hear that and you think, obviously, Joseph has the edge here. But Marinelli is 2-0 against Joseph in their career. Now, the reason Vincenzo's ranked higher is because he has consistently finished better than Marinelli at the end of the season in NCAAs, but Vincenzo has never beaten Marinelli. Marinelli's never lost in Carver Hawkeye, and as a matter of fact, he's actually never even lost a single regular season match. So this is going to be really interesting. Vincenzo is another guy who, I don't know how much better you can get as a 2-time NCAA champ, 3-time finalist, but I think he has looked like he's kicked it into a next gear this season. I think there's a legitimate, very legitimate chance that Vincenzo, I don't know if you can call either one of these guys winning an upset, but I think Vincenzo does finally break through and beat the Bull, but you never know with that edge that Marinelli seems to have over him and a little Carver magic, you never know what's going to happen there. And then, another barn burner of a match here at 174 is number 3, Michael Kemmerer against number 1, Mark Hall. Stop me if I sound repetitive, but Mark Hall looks like he's reached another gear this season. We're talking about a guy who I don't think anyone in the country is going to beat him. He's coming off a gigantic pin win over Labriola of Nebraska, where this was, I think, a guy who almost took him to overtime last season, and Mark Hall had a major locked up going into the waning minutes of the match, and then just cradled him up and pinned him. And what gave Penn State the dual meet victory there, a giant win. I've seen a few people call for the upset Kemmerer here with a little something happening in Carver Hawkeye, but I got to be honest with you. To me, this one, this looks like bonus points for Penn State for me. And then we've got 184 matchup of a couple of true freshman phenoms. Number 8, Abe Assad against number 10, Aaron Brooks. Both these guys look pretty good. They've beat some good wrestlers already this season. I think Abe Assad just beat Taylor Venz, who beat Aaron Brooks in the Nebraska match. So on paper, slight edge for Abe Assad there. Brooks is a freak athlete, though, kind of guy who, if he's in the match, anything can happen. You probably give a slight edge to Abe Assad, higher ranking, common opponent, and home mat advantage. But this bout is a complete toss-up. Then we go on to 97. We've got number 4, Jacob Warner, against number 15, Shakur Rashid. Now, Shakur Rashid would be ranked higher, but he wrestled at 84 last season, ended up with a bad knee injury, and he's coming back up 13 pounds, way lighter than the guys he's been wrestling against. The question here is really what Shakur Rashid are we going to get? He's coming off knee surgery, and I don't know if he's really in shape yet, if he's ready to be taken on a number 4 guy at this weight. But, if we have 100% Shakur Rashid, got to absolutely have a chance at winning that bout. And then we end the night, potentially, with a matchup of some pretty great nicknames. You got, at heavyweight, number 3, Big Tone, Anthony Cassio, against number 16, Big Snacks, Seth Neville's. Neville's is only ranked as low as he is because he just got his red shirt pulled and he hasn't wrestled enough guys to move him up in that rankings yet. But I think this is a kid who pretty much everyone expects him to be an All-American come March. I think Cassiope, especially with the home mat advantage, has a bit of an advantage over Neville's, but you never know. He has looked great so far, and don't be shocked if Seth Neville's pulls off an upset here. Flow Wrestling does a great segment called Whiteboard Wars. You should check out if you're interested in this match, where they run down every single weight class and 2 guys predict who they think is going to win. One guy had it going 17-17 with Iowa winning on criteria, and then the other guy had it going 24-10 Iowa. I don't think it's going to be nearly as far away as 24-10, but this is going to be a very tough matchup for Penn State. And, I mean, a win would be quite the upset here, and to keep it close would be a result you got to be proud of for these guys. But you know what? I'm gonna be pulling for Penn State. I'm predicting a 20-14 victory for Penn State. I haven't added up any of the numbers. I'm just throwing it out there. We are.